Since the financial crisis, the global economy continues to show signs of strain. Low commodity and oil prices have placed the balance sheet of commodity exporting countries like ours under strain. This is a serious matter indeed. If the economy does not grow, jobs will not be created, and existing jobs are at risk. The 2016 State of the Nation Address is thus about uniting the country behind boosting economic growth, creating jobs, and indeed to a better life for all our people. Inkulumo yesimo sezwe ibigxile kwezomnotho, ikhuluma ngokuntengantenga kwezomnotho nokuthi kumele senzeni ukuze ibuyise amandla ukuze sibuyise amandla omnotho ukuze kwakheke imisebenzi. Amazwe amaningi abhekene nalenkinga yokwehla kwamandla omnotho. Amanani okuthengiswa lokho kumbiwa phansi okunjengegolide nokunye okudayiswa phesheya ehlile kakhulu emazweni omhlaba jikelele. Lokhu kushayile kakhulu umnotho wezwe lakithi nomnotho wakwamanye amazwe futhi. Ingakho njengoba uhulumeni esebenzisa nosozimboni ukuze esebenzisana nosozimboni ukuze sibhekane nalenselelo, sivuselele umnotho wezwe ukuze abantu bangalahlekelwa imisebenzi. Isikhathi esinzima lesi kakhulu ezweni lakithi kwezomnotho kanye nakwamanye amazwe. Lesi simo asihlasele thina sodwa, sihlasele wonke umuntu ehlabathini emazweni amaningi ahlukahlukene. Kuwona kubalwa amazwe anjengo-Russia, no-China, kanye no-Brazil, kanye namanye futhi amazwe. Kubaleka kakhulu kuma sixoxa ngalolu daba, singaxoxi ngalo sengathi yinto yehlela iSouth Africa nje kuphela. Ngoba lokho kungenza ukuthi singakwazi ukubona ukuthi yini ngempela kufanele uba siyenze. Singakwazi futhi nokubona ukuthi kufanele ukuthi sibambisane. Ngoba singacabanga ukuthi mhlawumbe yenziwe abantu abathile, hayi udaba lolo lwasuka ezweni elikhulu elisikhondla kwezomnotho eAmerica. Lapho khona amabhange angena khona enkingeni. Kwase ukuthi ke ngoba izwe laseMelika lixhumane na wonke amazwe. Kwase kuba nomthelela kuwonke amazwe. Okwethu ukuthi njengezwe senza kanjani ukuthi sivike ukuthi singalimali noma singalimali kakhulu. Honorable Mayor Thank you for your suggestions on what can be done to contribute to the economic turnaround. Whether one agrees with you or not, at least you discuss the matter at hand. Honorable members, we have spent some considerable amount of time discussing this in Cabinet. And I also briefed premiers on the new direction we are taking of cutting wastage, improving the performance of the state, and boosting growth. In this regard, stronger measures to restore a sustainable fiscal path have been endorsed at the highest levels of government. Our position is that since we cannot change the global economic outlook, we still focus on correcting domestic circumstances that have affected confidence in the economy. We are happy with the support of business as they are a key stakeholder in the path we have undertaken. We have met 4 times with business since mid-January, and the partnership is yielding results. Business established 3 working streams ahead of my meeting with chief executive officers. These streams made a presentation at the last meeting on the 3 main issues. These are the prospect of sovereign downgrade, identifying areas for core investment, and SMMEs development. High up on our agenda is to prevent a sovereign downgrade. A downgrade would have an adverse effect for all South Africans. Business provided 8 points to be taken forward. Among these points is the need to unite behind the National Development Plan, fiscal consolidation, improved management and governance of state-owned enterprises, promoting public-private partnerships, especially in infrastructure development, review of certain regulations and laws that impede investment in the economy and which make doing business in South Africa expensive. Other issues raised is the need to improve labor relations and create an environment for youth employment, collaboration on fighting corruption, and also the need to strengthen institutions. Minister Gordon and the chairman of Telkom, Mr. Jacob Zuma, were appointed to lead 2 implementation teams to take these matters forward. I will meet again with the CEOs of top companies to take stock of progress in May after the World Economic Forum Africa session that will take place in Kigali, Rwanda. We will be meeting Labour very soon to take the discussions forward. Reigniting growth and creating jobs. I assure honorable members that we are implementing the National Development Plan. And I'm happy that this time around we seem to be coming together with business and government and labor to agree on general issues that must assist our country to move forward. And in my presentation, I think I did hint that it would be good if political parties or political entities also come together, because this is affecting all of us. It's not going to cater the political party. It will affect all of us. In other words, the point I was making was, let us put the country first this time around. The implementation of the National Development Plan remains the cornerstone of our economy. It provides a basis for collective actions required to stabilize the economy, build confidence, raise the level of investment, and return South Africa to a path of inclusive economic growth. The National Development Plan remains the foremost blueprint to take forward the fight against the triple challenge of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, which still persist. All programs of government are now aligned to the National Development Plan. We translated the National Development Plan into an implementable program. The medium-term strategic framework, running for 5 years, focusing on 14 outcomes that mirror the 14 thematic areas of the National Development Plan. The first National Plan Commission, which developed the National Development Plan, completed its term in May 2015. A new commission was appointed in September 2015 and started working immediately. Credible plans will be developed in sectors such as water, energy, food security, capital planning, special planning rather, and public transport to ensure that the challenges we are currently experiencing become the thing of the past. The National Development Plan is supported by the 9-point plan for economic renewal, which I reported on in the SONA. As ministers indicated during the debate, while the situation remains difficult, there are many positives in the economy for us to build on. South Africa has proved to be a resilient economy due to the solid economic fundamentals that have been laid since the advent of democracy. The country's prudent fiscal management and sound monetary policies support macroeconomic stability and promote competitiveness. It is for this reason that we say that South Africa's positive attributes far outweigh the challenges. And these challenges are being addressed through dedicated programs and plans. I wish to assure honorable members that we are determined to implement the steps we have committed ourselves to in order to alleviate the most binding constraints to growth. They include the following. Some of the steps we have committed to take are continued investment in infrastructure, improving the management and governance of the state-owned enterprises that are facing difficulties through appointing the right people with the appropriate skills, and also through the implementation of the Presidential Review Committee on State-Owned Enterprises. Through expanding the energy mix, and especially the Independent Power Producer Program, which has proven to be successful partnership with business. Encouraging affordable, reliable, and accessible broadband access. Promoting Black ownership of productive industrial assets. For an example, our Black Industrialist Program. Finalizing amendments to the Mineral and Petroleum Resource Development Act to end uncertainty in the mining sector. Enhancing business incentives programs in all economic sectors to ensure that resources support labor investment, labor incentives, job-creating outcomes, and promoting new sectors such as the oceans economy. Honorable Shenge, the need to assess the positive and negative impact of policies before passing them. We have already acted on this. We took a decision that from 1st September 2015, all future legislation and regulations will be subject to a socioeconomic impact assessment before being passed. Honorable members, indeed, we are investing in education more than any other time in the budget. It remains an apex priority. I'm happy this matter was raised by many honorable members. This investment is the key to a brighter future of our country. To date, government spends 1.8 billion rand on early childhood development for children up to the age of 4, reaching more than 1 million children. Honorable Pando provided statistics that indicate the progress we've made in expanding access to grade R, grade 1, and also to children with disabilities. Let me also join her in congratulating girls. They are doing very well in matric. They are beating the boys hands down. Sengathi amadoda ashaya kancane nje. Also important is the expansion of free education in the basic education level. More than 9 million learners attend school without paying fees. The same children receive free daily meals to improve concentration and participation in class. I was very happy. I saw in the TV in the Free State the system of creating places for children who travel long distances next to schools. Which, according to the report, has improved the participation of the children. I wish we could, from education point, look into that. For them to be there Monday to Friday, and then go back home over the weekends. It will do us a lot. They will concentrate. There will be people who are looking after them, guaranteed 3 meals a day. That will change the quality of their lives. Government is now promoting technical and vocational education in our schools. 1 billion rand has been made available for all provinces through the Mathematics, Science and Technology Conditional Grant. This investment will assist towards the National Development Plan goal of producing 30,000 artisans annually. Gradually, there will be an alignment between technical vocational programs in schools with the technical occupational programs offered at technical and vocational education and training colleges, TVET. Basic education and higher education departments are in discussion about this much needed alignment. I must also add the Operation Pakisa in basic education, which focuses on information and communication technologies, which we launched last year as one of the key investments in education. Government is scheduled to connect 2,892 schools to the internet this year, and also train teachers and learners in the use of technology to improve learning and teaching. We are also expanding schools' infrastructure. We are building 3 new universities and 12 technical education and training colleges. Through the Accelerated Schools Infrastructure Delivery Initiative, we have delivered 136 state-owned, state-of-the-art schools. A further 571 schools were provided with water. 410 schools were given decent sanitation, and 294 schools were provided with electricity. These interventions have been life-changing to the learners and educators at these schools. Indeed, government is serious about education. Siyaqhuba, asidlali. We thank partners from the private sector who continue to invest in basic education in various ways. Honorable members, we must also root out violence in our schools and make the schools peaceful and productive centers of learning and teaching. In December 2015, a summit was hosted by the Department of Basic Education involving teachers, learners, and parents through their organizations, where they all committed to work together to root out violence, drug and substance abuse, and other antisocial behavior in our schools. Schools should be peaceful and productive centers of learning and excellence. Honorable Van Dam, youth development, including youth employment, is an integral part of all government programs. Following an extensive consultation with young people, we now have a National Youth Policy 2020, which was adopted by Cabinet in May 2015. 5 priority areas are the focus of the National Youth Policy, and these are economic participation and transformation, education skills and second chances, healthcare and combating substance abuse, nation building and social cohesion, and the effective and responsive youth development institutions. These have been added into the annual performance plans of departments as outlined by Deputy Minister Manamela. In taking forward some of the key projects identified this year, we will be rolling out the National Youth Service Program. The purpose is to inculcate amongst young people a sense of solidarity, sacrifice, service to the nation, and a sense of patriotism. Already, more than 100,000 young people were involved in a variety of programs, including the War on Leaks, Working for Water, Youth Build Program, and the National Rural Youth Service Corps, amongst other National Youth Service programs. Let me take this opportunity to invite business executive to partner with the National Youth Development Agency in mentoring young business people as part of the Mara Mentor program. We launched this program on June 16 last year. Honorable Chaisa, Honorable Olomisa, and others who raised the matter of action against corruption. We are strengthening the legislative framework and are also continuing with other measures in order to further clamp down on crime and corruption. The Asset Forfeiture Unit has done a lot of good work in the past financial year. The unit completed 463 asset forfeiture cases worth about 2 billion rand. The unit executed 342 freezing orders to the value of 2.8 billion rand. A total of 1.6 billion rand was paid back to the victims of crime recovered from corrupt activities. 11 million rand was recovered in cases where government officials were involved in corruption and other related offenses. With regards to legislation, the Protected Disclosures Amendment Bill will be tabled in Parliament this year. Its primary objective is to provide protection to whistleblowers so that we can fight corruption better and more effectively. The Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Amendment Bill will also be introduced into Parliament. The bill improves the application of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act in order to address practical challenges and close gaps. Another new law being introduced is the Cyber Crimes and Related Matters Bill, which is scheduled to be introduced into Parliament in the first half of 2016. Still on the security issues, I would also like to announce two new developments in the South African Police Service. As part of the Back to Basics strategy, the Ministry of Police will establish special units to deal with drugs and related transgressions and transnational crimes, as well as violence and proliferation of firearms in our society. The two units are the South African Narcotic Enforcement Bureau and the National Bureau for Illegal Firearms Control and Priority Violent Crime. The units will fall under the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, commonly known as HAWKS. Honorable Olomisa, as you were talking yesterday, calling for economic summit or economic CODESA, somebody said to me, let us organize this because he believes it will bring the solution. Now, one of the subjects that is discussed in this country more than any other subject is economy. By everybody, everywhere. I'm not sure what CODESA on the economy will do for us, because we might not even have as parties the same policy on the economy. And we might not be ready to agree in that Congress or conference or summit or whatever we call it. Then what happens thereafter? Because you have an economic policy as UDM, I'm sure other parties have economic policies. Now, are we going to fail here as parties to agree and hope that the CODESA will make us agree? I'm merely raising the issue because you are very consistent on the matter. You believe it will solve problems. I'm not sure. Unless parties agree beforehand that we are ready to abandon our policies and have one policy of all parties and have one economic system in the country. So I think it's a rather good suggestion. I'm not saying it's not good. It's a good suggestion, but if we were to do that, I can tell you we'll argue from the time we start to the end without an agreement. Because each party will put its policy. And if you said will not solve that problem with consensus, and you say we'll have to see what the majority says there, now all ANC policies will be passed because we are a majority. Now that's, I think that will not be fair. Really, it will not be fair. I think let us articulate, let us try to persuade one another as we go forward rather than calling a CODESA. If it was another issue under not economy, you know, if there were half a dozen economists in the House. There are about 12 economic assumptions. So how do you agree? And each one thinks they're right. So I just thought, because you always raise this issue, I must say, much as I have never responded to it, I should express my feelings about it. That we can have it, but I doubt we'll agree. Thank you very much. Honorable members, you are correct. The drought is a big problem, and it needs all of us to work together to mitigate the impact. The impact on the agricultural sector is severe and will affect us for a long time to come. It will be felt through food price increases and increase in feed grade. It will also cause rising debt levels for farmers and job losses for farm workers. Farmers are facing a serious challenge of dying livestock due to the drought. Leaving aside the fact that there is climate change, fact of the matter is that the drought is here, and it needs all of us to work together. It's a matter that needs us as a country to work together to address. About 2.7 million households are affected by the drought disaster. The Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries is providing support to farmers while cooperative governance is coordinating the government response to the drought nationally. The Department of Water and Sanitation has invested more than 450 million rand for drought relief. The funds have been spent on water tankers, boreholes, drilling, and rehabilitation, as well as the improvement of dysfunctional infrastructure with regard to water. In addition, a total of 498 million rand has been approved nationally, in addition to 124 million allocated by provinces to assist affected farmers with livestock feeds and water, as stated by Deputy Minister Cele. The Minister of Water and Sanitation provided a report on the infrastructure that is being built, such as dams. Honorable members raised concern about the proposed law on the ownership of land by foreign nationals. The Regulation of Agricultural Land Holdings Bill will prohibit the acquisition of agricultural land by foreign nationals. They can only lease the land. The bill will be presented to Cabinet this year. Honorable Khawele, the Office of the Chief Procurement Officer is operational. The central supplier database will be compulsory from April 1st, 2016. This means all suppliers doing business with government will only register once. This reduces the cost for suppliers as they do not have to go to multiple institutions if they wish to do business with government. The use of tender portal will be compulsory from 1st April this year by all departments. This means that all tenders will be advertised in one place and will be accessed free of charge. Government tenders will thus no longer be advertised in newspapers. And this will be another cost saver for government. Statistics show that these procurement reforms are already bearing fruits and are saving the state hundreds of millions. And are saving the state hundreds of millions of rands. For an example, school building designs have been standardized nationally and costed. We will no longer be building schools at costs above 30 million rand. So we are no longer going to be subject to those who will say we need so much and others so much. We're standardizing because this is an important government infrastructure. Honorable Motara, we join you in congratulating the city of Johannesburg. On winning the Green Bond Award at the C40 Awards and for the ratings upgrading. Honorable Nawa, I'm glad that the South African Local Government Association will take up the cost-saving drive. Together, we will move the country forward. That commitment from SALGA is highly appreciated. Honorable Masango, you are correct. Our country has an excellent social assistance program, assisting more than 16 million vulnerable beneficiaries. You also raised the issue of unemployed social work graduates who have been trained by government. The Department of Social Development is seized with the matter and is busy looking for internships and other opportunities for the graduates. I have been informed that the situation is difficult due to budget cuts in provinces which has limited employment opportunities. Many of the interns have been absorbed by the South African Social Security Agency and the provinces of Mpumalanga, Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Eastern Cape. Compatriots, nation building is as important to our country as economic renewal. We must heal the scars of apartheid and build a united nation. Racism is an enemy of humanity. If there is anything that this country must agree on, it is the fight against racism. This is because we know what it did to our nation. We would not want that to visit us again. We must unite in eradicating this evil from our country. Together, we must build a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous South Africa. We must use the month of March and also Human Rights Day to participate in programs promoting non-racialism in our country. I think if all of us, from all sectors, all nationalities, we could take these and all of us come out to make our feelings, our voices heard and felt in the country, we would be doing very good for our country. We will be dealing a devastating blow to racism. We should all stand up. There shouldn't be some and some not. Everybody in South Africa should see that we are united on this issue as the overwhelming majority, that we don't want it. We are South Africans. Let us not emphasize the color. Let us emphasize our being South Africans. Let me also remind our young people to participate in events organized in honor of the youth of the 16th, 1976. It is important for our youth today to know where our youth comes from, so that the issues that our youth are looking at and fighting for are informed by where we come from, where we are heading to. It is absolutely important for us to do so. Fellow South Africans, Honorable Godi is correct when he states that freedom must have material meaning to our people's lives, and that we must never get used to the hardship of our people. We must, when we see the conditions that many of our people live under, and just pass through as if this is normal. It's not normal. It is a man-created problem, and we need to solve it. And we don't need to fight about it. We need to debate and discuss and agree that we must fight poverty, inequality, and unemployment. That's a business of all of us. At times, people think that some of the ills that we have, it is government only who must deal with them. It is all of us who must deal with them. Government only gave leadership. It's only in the lead because that government at the time would be the government elected by the majority, and therefore to be carrying the wishes and the dreams of the majority of the country. That's an ABC of democracy. That is ABCs of democracy. Majority prevails. Indeed, we must find solutions that will push back poverty, inequality, and unemployment. And in this, we should work together. South Africa is a wonderful country. I listened very carefully when the leader of the opposition, my honorable, my man, when the EFF was disrupting, he stood twice to say the millions of this country wanted to hear what is being said from this parliament, and therefore they must not make noise. Very important point made. Important because all of us should always keep in mind that our being here is not to satisfy our own feelings, but it is to represent the people who elected us. We are here on their behalf. They are not here. And when they hear we are meeting, they literally stop everything to listen as to how are we discussing their problems. Now, if it is us who make it impossible for them to listen, I think there is something wrong with our understanding of democracy. One of the things the people here learn, how the leaders, their leaders that they have elected, how do they conduct themselves in dealing with such important business of the nation? Really, some of us feel very bad when we see the manner in which we portray ourselves these days, not only to South Africans, to the continent, to the world. Their understanding of South Africa changes the country they think has such a constitution, a constitutionalized democracy. We might not help people to take something out of us in the manner in which we handle ourselves. I think we should change. I think we are not doing good for our voters, people who took the decision to send us here. What is it that they learn from us? I believe all of us sitting here We know their rules, we know their laws, we know there's everything. If the presiding officers, and we all agree that you cannot speak not when you are not recognized by the presiding officer, and you continue all the time disrespecting the presiding officer. If you do so, it is an indirect undermining of honorable members. When you exercise your right, don't undermine the right of the next person. It's a matter I believe we need to be united on. Then we will have time to disagree and agree, but with respect. If this parliament could be united on that one, I would be very happy to portray this parliament correctly. Because I think we disagree on a number of matters. That's not a crime. But let us disagree with respect. It is a plea I am making. And as I said, my honorable leader of the opposition stood twice. I supported you, sir, because I thought you were making a good point. Because I will support you if you are making a good point. But after you had made your point, as I was talking here, when EFF had left, and your party was almost doing the same, not adhering to your good point, I got worried. I'm merely making this point so that could be discussed in the caucus. I believe when we say honorable members, we mean it. And people must understand that word to be really serious. We can't call ourselves honorable, but behave dishonorably. I'll never agree with that. I'll never agree with that. It's not helping the image of the country. It's not teaching our people what democracy is all about. I'm talking to all members of parliament. On this side, I merely zoomed in to an important point made by the honorable leader of the opposition that I supported. That's why I looked here, but otherwise I'm referring to everyone. It's a serious point. I thought I should make this point, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Chairperson, because it is important. I know that Honorable Shenge has tried using his advantage of age, but people don't listen. I'm a little bit older too. I have that right, after him, of course, to make this point. It's absolutely important. Honorable members, South Africa, like many emerging markets, faces challenges. But we have time and again succeeded where others thought we will fail. We can still succeed if we work together. We have solved very major problems that no one ever believed we'll ever solve, because we are a unique nation. This time, because economy, the drought, are serious things. You can imagine if one day there was no water at all. There will be no life. there will be no life. This year, the estimate is that we are going to import a lot of maize because we don't have. There's some things that says we must fight together to defeat, and I think we can. Now is the time for us to unite and harness this power and provide leadership and direction to our people during this difficult time. We have a good plan, which was produced by South Africans, the National Development Plan. Working together, we can make a visible difference and make progress. And we can. Together, we can move South Africa forward, not for the benefit of a party, but for the benefit of the country and its people. Thank you very much.
I thank the Honorable the President. That concludes the debate on the State of the Nation address. But before we adjourn, having allowed, of course, the President to take his leave, not to be delayed, we will deliver, I will hand over to the Honorable, the Chairperson of the NCOP, to deliver some rulings. And I will also recognize the Honorable Kwankwa after the rulings. Before Honorable Chairperson does it, I wish to acknowledge the presence in the gallery of visitors from the Free State who are here on an annual educational tour of Parliament, which is arranged by the Speaker of the Legislature. You are welcome, honorable members.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable members, I would like to make a ruling on a question of privilege which was raised by the Honorable Chief Whip of the Opposition in terms of Joint Rule 14LA of the Joint Rules during the State of the Nation address in 2015. The Chief Whip of the Opposition asked, and I quote him, whether it is appropriate for members of the VIP Protection Unit who are tasked with protecting the executive to be screening members of Parliament on their way to the House. I then committed to attend to this matter. I did. I would like to draw the attention of members to the provisions of Section 4 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, number 4 of 2004, which states that members of the security services may enter upon or remain in the precincts for the purposes of performing any policing function if so permitted and authorized by the presiding officers. The responsibilities of the South African Police Services are also provided for in Clause 8.2.3 of the Security Policy of Parliament, where it is stated that, among others, that they are responsible for the access control system and for the chamber security. Further, Clause 8.5.4 provides for the purposes of their own, that for the purposes of their own safety and that of others, members will be required to have all their possessions X-rayed or manually searched. It should be noted that in terms of Section 199(1) of the Constitution, that the security services of the Republic consist of, among others, a single police service which includes the VIP protection units. We further acknowledge that whenever necessary, members of the VIP protection unit may be part of the members of the police services that carry out security functions in Parliament. It should be noted that the incident that the Honorable Steenhuisen complained of took place during the State of the Nation address, where all arms and other organs of the state collaborate. Although the Honorable Steenhuisen indicated that members of Parliament were screened by the members of the VIP protection unit, he did not complain that they were in any way impeded from performing their functions as members. Having inquired onto this matter, it was established that some members of the VIP protection unit did screen members as part of the South African Police Service. Now, in the normal circumstances, this is not the practice. It is only in exceptional circumstances that this approach is taken. We would, however, want to encourage members to report to the presiding officers any incidents that inhibit them from carrying out their functions as members as a result of any screening done by any of the protection service members in and around Parliament. I would like to continue and take another ruling, Honorable Speaker, and it is that on the 16th of February 2016, during the State of the Nation debate, the Honorable Filtani rose on a point of order and said, and I quote him, "Chairperson, my point of order is that the statement that the Honorable Minister made is derogatory about my leader. You don't talk like that about Holomisa," close quotes. Order, members, order. I indicated that I would check the Hansard transcript and revert back to the House. The Honorable Sisulu is recorded as having said, and I quote, "Thank you very much to Honorable Holomisa for the suggestion of an economic indaba resembling that of CODESA. The rest of Honorable Holomisa's ramblings are not worth mentioning here right now," close quote. The Honorable Filtani did not specify which part of the speech by the Honorable Minister of Human Settlement was derogatory. After careful reading of the Minister's remarks, I could only assume that the Honorable Filtani should be referring to the words ramblings. Now, ramblings, honorable members, is defined as to talk or to write in a discursive or aimless way. Order, members. The guiding principles as to whether the words used in a debate are out of order is the motive attributed to the member accused of using them, and whether something dishonorable is being attributed to another member. Words or phrases used in a debate, but which do not in any way impugn on the honor of a member, will not be ruled out of order. Therefore, my ruling in this point of order, raised by the Honorable Filtani, is that it cannot be upheld. I thank you, Speaker.
I recognize Honorable Kwankwa.
Speaker, thank you very much, and I'm sorry for wasting your time. I had raised my hand before the President took to the podium, but when I realized that you did not see me or pick up my hand, I decided to put it down. Mine was to really request that I make an appeal to the House about precisely a matter that concerns us greatly as a party, what happened during the SONA debate. You know, following the reviews of young people of the SONA debate on the platforms and channels that they used, one discovered that they could remember the insults and not the substance of our input here in the House. My concern and our concern as a party is that we're inculcating a culture of intolerance which at some point is going to lead to political instability. We have to exercise better leadership. We have to try and change our ways of behaving in the House because we've clearly taken a wrong turn. My words, ladies and gentlemen, are not in judgment of your actions. They serve just as a mere caution. We have to change course before it's too late because we all have a responsibility to build a South Africa in which all of us look forward to the sunrise of our tomorrow. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwankwa. In particular, I appreciate the fact that you yourself are a young person, but a young person that has taken responsibility and is prepared to stick his neck out for South Africa. Honorable members, the joint sitting is adjourned.
Speaker. Madam Speaker, to your
Who's
left.
calling? Yes, Honorable Natasha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sorry to interrupt you as you're about to close the sitting, but I think that there's been an oversight, and I wish to remind you of a meeting that myself and the Honourable Maimani had with you yesterday in your offices, in which we discussed a ruling that was made in the House. There was a set of circumstances that then followed our discussion, but one of the agreements made between ourselves and also with the National Assembly table was that a ruling would be made today regarding utterances that were made in the House yesterday. And Speaker and Honourable Speaker of the National Council of Provinces, I'd just like to know why we aren't getting the rulings as we discussed yesterday, please.
Thank you very much for reminding us on that meeting, and I dare say, in fact, we are proud to report that while there was a bit of pandemonium in the House, there was a very constructive interaction between the leader of the opposition and Honorable Natasha, who just rose, which found a constructive resolution to a specific area of the issues that had arisen. However, in discussing the matters that we had thought we would be able to rule on today, we found that it was necessary to still look at, in particular, the Hansard on an element that related to, I think it was a deputy minister on the side of the ruling party. So we are still looking into those issues and would like to have more time before we can come back with a ruling on that. So it is only that, in fact, we forgot we should have raised it when we were making one of the rulings. So those issues are not forgotten, we're coming back on them. Thank you very much, honourable members.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Honourable Sisulu.
Madam Speaker, I rose on a point of order 2 days ago, and I was assured by the Deputy Speaker that he would look at Hansard and come back before the end of the session with an outcome of that, of the complaint and make a ruling. I await that ruling before we rise, or else get an explanation why we do not have a ruling as yet, please.
You will, Honourable Sisulu, we did discuss that matter, and another ruling from the Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, and decided that those rulings would be dealt with still, but not before the end of this particular sitting. Honourable Waters.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, given the agreement that was made in your office, one would have expected some form of communication with the Honourable Leader of the official opposition in this regard, that you were not going to actually make a ruling, firstly. And secondly, what this then suggests, or going forward for any joint sitting, that our freedom of speech in this chamber is severely curtailed. We cannot use words such as fractions, in a debate anymore. I mean, we have more freedom of speech outside than we do inside the chamber. And this is a chamber where we're supposed to be able to express ourselves freely and be protected. And I would suggest to you that we need a ruling sooner rather than later on whether or not the ruling made by Honourable Tau about fractions and about rubbish, whether or not we can use those words in this chamber. It is a matter of urgency, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Waters, we appreciate your input and we agree with you that it's very important and we should actually make those rulings as soon as possible. And as we have said, we apologize and we promise that we will come back to the House as soon as is possible. Thank you very much, honorable members. The joint sitting is adjourned.